Okay, so now we're going to go about creating the threads. And if you had access to the machinery's handbook, you could see the chart in the handbook that I've been using. I will put a copy of that chart in the assignment for you to look at. And we're going to create these threads, excuse me, based on that chart. So we're going to start off here. Let's see. We're going to use parameters in creating our threads. It makes our math a little bit easier. So I go to my Manage tab in Parameters, and we're going to create one here. And we want to call it H-depth. H doesn't work. There's something already named H. So I'll do it at H-depth, and the H value will be 0.10825 inches. Okay, and you do that. We're going to add two of them also. So we go Add Numeric. This we're going to call P. It's going to be our pitch. And it's an inch measurement, and it's a 0.125. So you're going to create both of these, the H depth or HDE, something like that, easy to remember. And then P. We're going to create both of those, okay? And then we're done with that. Now we want to create us a sketch. Let's go back to Model, Sketch, and come on here. I'm going to put it on my XY plane. That's the front. I'm going to flip that over and F7 to slice my graphics. All right. Now I'm going to draw some construction lines. So I'm going to change over here, construction, and go line. And I just want to kind of come off of the edge there. It doesn't have to connect to it. And I'm going to draw it out so that it's perpendicular to the edge of the screw. Length doesn't really matter. It's a construction line. And now I'm going to dimension, give a linear dimension of this. This is going to be our pitch diameter line. And so I'm going to go dimension. Oh, excuse me. Got to project my geometry of that y-axis. Now I go dimension, choose the y-axis, choose my pitch diameter line, right click, go linear diameter, place it, and the pitch diameter for this fastener is 0.9168. Okay. Now, if you're not getting 4 decimal places, right click on that dimension. Where's it at? Right click on it and go Dimension Properties, and go Document Settings and change your linear dimension display to 4 decimal places. Okay. So now that's my pitch diameter. Now I'm going to create 2 more lines. One will be the top of the thread, one will be the bottom of the thread. Now, mathematically, the top of our thread should come out to be the top of this because we created it that way. So we're still on construction lines. So I'm going to draw one line up here, parallel to that. And then I'll draw a second line down here. So all 3 of those lines are parallel to each other. Now I want to dimension the top of my thread line. So I'm going to go from the pitch diameter up to that line and come over and place this dimension. And when I place it, this dimension is 0.375 times our H depth parameter that we created. And then bottom of the thread, checking my chart here again. Okay. The bottom of the thread is from top of thread to bottom of thread. 0.625 times H depth. Okay, that sets the top and bottom of my thread for me. Now I want to draw the lines for the angles, the sides of the thread. So I'm going to turn off construction lines so that I've got a regular line type. And I'm just going to come anywhere on this top line, and I'm going to come down below the bottom line and then come back up. If you remember, the sides of the thread are at 60 degrees. So I'll pull a dimension there, make it 60. And then also make one side of it at 30. Okay, so now see I need to extend that line up some. So we'll go extend. I should have got it, yeah. All right, so I've got a V-shaped thread. Now on the pitch diameter, the distance between the threads right here is 0.5 of the pitch. So I can't hardly measure that the way it is now. So I'm going to draw a line picking up that intersection to that intersection. And then dimension that line. And I'm going to type in 0.5 times P, the pitch parameter that we set. Okay. And that 0.0625 is half of 1/8, so that worked out good. That's what I need. Now we want to draw a circle for the bottom of the thread. So I'm going to come in here, and just in here, I'm going to draw a little small circle. I'm not going to constrain it onto anything. I'm just going to draw a little circle. Now the radius of this circle is based on our pitch. So let's go dimension it. And I want to change that to a radius dimension. And the radius of it is 0.108 times P. And now I want to constrain it with tangent constraints against the sides of the V. Okay, I think this is looking right here. I think that's looking right. It just works out coincidentally that, see, it's not exactly on that line, but it is real close. And that's just a coincidence on the way things are working out here. Now I want to move all of this that I've created over onto this axis. So let's extend this construction line so I've got a point over there, an intersection. And we'll go ahead and project that axis, the x-axis up. Now we'll do a coincident constraint from the top of the V to that intersection right here. We just moved everything over. Let's check our measurements here. It's still looking good. Okay. Now, when we do the coil to create the thread, because this line is in the exact same plane as the top of my fastener, it will not cut that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of a line. Line command first, say. And so let's come up 0.02. And then we want to come over until we get a snap right above that corner. And then we'll come down and close that off. Now, this construction line we have right here, that's going to be the top of the thread. It's just, it will not cut that surface out unless that profile goes up above it. So we just added that to get up there. Now we're going to trim out down here around the circle. So we want to trim out the bottom of the V and the inside of the circle that we don't need. And we don't need this line anymore, so I'm going to take it out. I can't trim it, I got to delete it. And I could leave it, excuse me, I could leave it in there. Just have to choose two profiles, but it's not necessary anymore because I've got the size and the shape of everything. I tell you what, to keep everything together, let's go ahead and dimension that, and we'll just pull out whatever dimension it is. And that should keep everything together. And we'll delete this line out. Okay. Now, just as a good practice, because we got a lot of things going here, let's close our loop. So I want to select a line and right click, go close loop. Yes, I want to select everything, and I'll go around my sketch, picking the lines until I've closed that loop. Good there, so we'll go finish sketch. All right, now I'm going to flip this up so we can see. And now we're going to create our coil, our actual thread. So we go to our coil command. That's the profile we want. Okay. The axis will be this right here, the y-axis, I believe it was. Yeah, y-axis. And we're going to cut. All right. Now we need to go to coil size. Pitch and revolution is what we want. Our pitch is 0.125. And we want 16 revolutions because we're going to do 2 inches of threads. So we go with 16 revolutions. Coil ends, we're going to go with natural on both of those. And if you look at it, you may have to flip yours around a little bit to see where the threads are actually going. Keeping in mind it's cutting them in reverse from where you're actually seeing them. So this is what we want as far as our rotation goes. That'll give us a right-hand thread. All right, so we create that. It's always good to kind of look at the end of our thread and make sure if I rotate this clockwise, it's going to screw in. So yes, that looks good. All right, so you see we've got a flat on the top and a round on the bottom. Okay, but now the end of our thread is not cool. See, it just leaves this triangle, stops there. And so we're going to use that I have to do a sketch on that, I believe. And from that sketch, I go create feature, coil. All right. And we want the same axis, the y-axis. It's going to be a cut. Coil size, pitch will still be this, but revolutions, we're going to change that down to 5. And taper, we're going to add a 30-degree taper. And you can see how the coil's like kind of big. What that's going to do is each revolution, it's going to come out 30 degrees out. All right. And so you can see in those last few threads, the cuts of the thread are getting shallower. Okay. And in the crest of the thread is getting larger, which if you actually create threads using a die, that's very similar to how it looks. All right, so let's look back to our front and zoom a little bit, and you can see the The right end of our fastener is vertical. The left end of our threads is at an angle, at the slant, which is the way that it's supposed to be. Seems like a lot of work, but that's how you create actual threads in Inventor. Isn't that cool, huh? All right. And so this is what you will submit to me. I'll have in Angel on the assignment page exactly what it is that you need to turn into me. Okay? Great. Thank you very much.